3 major Academy Awards for the film Coda. Tonight, how the movie made history and has the deaf community celebrating.
A new twist in the controversy surrounding Will Smith's onstage slap. What the Oscar-winning actor is saying tonight.
More than a month into the Ukraine war, nearly 4 million refugees have fled their homes. We take you to a local school helping these families.
Annenberg TV News is next.
An apology tonight from actor Will Smith after the Oscar slap seen by millions of people around the world. Good evening, I'm Evan Wayno.
And I'm Lizzie Reisinger. Tonight, the Academy of Motion Pictures says it has launched its own investigation into what happened when Smith walked on stage and struck comedian Chris Rock. Smith, who later won Best Actor for his performance as Richard Williams in King Richard, had more to say during his acceptance speech.
You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. I want to apologize to the Academy. I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees.
Will Smith posted an apology on his Instagram this evening, saying, quote, "Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. I would like to apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong."
They would never remove someone who was nominated for Best Actor, especially Will Smith. If it had been anybody else, gone. Hollywood is really a community. And what you saw afterward with Tyler Perry, Denzel Washington, and Bradley Cooper saying, hey, calm down. That's basically what they were telling them, calm down. I think it showed real community. The reactions of the women, however, were completely different. If you saw the faces of the women in the room, there was a lot of horror and shock. The men just rallied around each other.
The incident also sparked many conversations at the USC School of Cinematic Arts. Some students spoke about Smith's action, but they also reacted to Chris Rock's joke.
I mean, I think it's very disrespectful to begin with to criticize someone's appearance, which they can't help.
I don't think it sends any message. I think it was just one guy's reaction, and how people take it is how they take it.
I see a lot of people on Twitter trying to connect this to this stereotype of black violence, and that doesn't make sense to me.
To me, I think maybe a more redeeming action would probably be apologizing to Chris Rock specifically. I think the Academy will be fine. I'm not particularly worried about them. But yeah, it seems like something that should have been handled a little bit more privately than like getting up on stage at a public professional event and hitting Chris Rock like that.
Lost in the chatter around the slap was some of the recognition for Smith's achievement. Smith is only the 5th black man to win an Oscar for Best Actor, and the first since Forrest Whitaker in 2006. Chris Rock's joke about Jada Pinkett Smith sparked several conversations about the hair loss condition alopecia. Pinkett Smith first shared her experience living with the condition in 2018 during an episode of her show Red Table Talk. More than 50 million men and 30 million women in the United States are affected by alopecia. More than half of the cases are diagnosed in childhood, while more than 80% are diagnosed before the age of 40. The condition is hereditary, but it can also result from hormonal changes, medical conditions, or normal signs of aging. You can find more information about alopecia by visiting www.naaf.org. Coda took home 3 awards at the Oscars, marking a historic win for artists and filmmakers in the deaf community. The film claimed Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay.
And the Oscar goes to...
Okay, Coda.
Coda received a standing ovation, with the audience giving the ASL sign for applause. Troy Kotzer became only the second deaf actor to ever win an Oscar. His co-star, Marlee Matlin, took home Best Actress in 1987 for her role in the film Children of a Lesser God.
I really want to thank all of the wonderful deaf theater stages where I was allowed and given the opportunity to develop my craft as an actor. Thank you.
A member of USC's American Sign Language Club says she hopes Coda's success will create new opportunities for others in the deaf community.
I feel good about it, and I know that the deaf community is feeling really proud to see that he's up there, and then he's also signing. I think Coda is a great first step just to see more of those stories being told, and then given more access and opportunity to deaf actors or deaf filmmakers or deaf artists.
Coda is available to stream on Apple TV+, which also made history last night. The platform became the first to win an Oscar for a film distributed by a streaming service.
A month into Russia's invasion of Ukraine, nearly 4 million Ukrainians have evacuated the country. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says he's ready to declare neutrality to secure peace. While the exodus has slowed significantly in the past few days, the United Nations says the war has triggered Europe's largest refugee crisis since World War II. More than 3.7 million refugees have crossed into neighboring countries, including Poland, Romania, Moldova, and Hungary. 12 million more Ukrainians are unable to leave areas affected by violence. One nonprofit organization is working with a local school to help relocate refugees.
They're very, very thankful for their support. They raised over $250,000 for our mission currently going on in Ukraine, which is incredible. We've had a bit of a relationship with them in the past, and thankfully they chose to help support our efforts here, and we're very, very appreciative of everything they've done for us.
The Wise Temple and Jewish School has raised over $250,000 in a partnership with United Hatzlah. I spoke with the Wise School's headmaster to learn more about the fundraising campaign.
It was a real tangible way for us to teach kids that you can experience wholeness and make great happen right away without having to think about it or give to something very vague, like, let's get an airplane and go help these people.
If you want to donate to United Hatzlah of Israel, visit www.israelrescue.org.
Turning now to the extreme form of Russian censorship spreading throughout the country. Let's go to reporter Juliet Smith.
Hey, Lizzie.
Last night, the president of Ukraine had a 90-minute interview with 4 prominent Russian journalists. Volodymyr Zelensky detailed how Moscow is censoring the media. This was his latest attempt at reaching the Russian people directly.
The Russian military is shelling humanitarian convoys. Drivers are being killed. What happens to these cargoes? I can't tell you. Many of them were taken back.
Hours later, the Kremlin notified Russian media of, quote, the necessity to refrain from publishing this interview. Journalists outside of Russia were able to run the interview. Robert English, professor of international relations at USC, says the truth will begin to trickle through.
The state pretty much has pushed all private or opposition media silent. That interview will find its way back into Russia through various cracks, nooks and crannies, as have other reporting on the war. I think public opinion is now being slowly, in small initial ways, being affected by the funerals, by the sons coming home, mostly sons, some daughters coming home in coffins.
A USC student told me about how the Russian state TV is telling Russians a wild story about why the US is to blame for the war.
There's like a famous Russian reporter, and she was like, I believe, tweeting or somehow sharing on social media this like story that the reason that Russia is attacking Ukraine is because the United States was using Ukraine as like a lab to create COVID or something, like this like crazy conspiracy that just sounds so ridiculous.
Anna Velchiko says many Russians are resorting to using a VPN, a virtual private network, to try to find out the truth. Lizzie, back to you.
California is taking steps to fight rising gas prices. Governor Gavin Newsom is proposing an $11 billion relief package to help ease stress at the pump. The governor's plan would give Californians $400 per registered vehicle, up to 2 per person. Payments could begin as early as July. $750 million are marketed for transit grants. Another $500 million would go toward active transportation. Some urban planning experts say the state doesn't have its priorities straight.
Climate policy and all kinds of other reasons, we in California have made for a number of years now a pretty clear policy choice to try and encourage people to either drive more fuel efficient vehicles or take transit or walk or bike. And so tying sort of these payments to vehicle ownership, to me, feels like it is sending exactly the wrong signal.
If the governor's plan is approved by the state legislature, funds could be dispersed by July.
Thousands of grocery store workers in California could be headed to picket the line after their union voted to authorize a strike. Workers at Vons, Ralph's, Pavilions, and Albertsons are asking for a $5 per hour raise, plus increased safety standards and schedule changes.
Our main objective is to, we would like a raise in our wages. The cost of living has gone up and our wages have not kept up. And we also want to make sure our health and welfare plan is updated and in good condition. We deserve a fair wage and we will stand up and fight for it.
Negotiations are set to resume this Wednesday. The vote does not guarantee a strike, but the union can now call for one if no more progress is made. In the meantime, Ralph's has said its stores will remain open. The chain has started temporarily hiring workers in preparation for potential walkouts.
The so-called Don't Say Gay bill officially signed into law today in Florida. Disney is among many forces against it.
The biggest journalism award was presented right here in Annenberg. We'll hear from the winners.
And as you can see in this live picture, it's still wet out there. The forecast when we come back. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed into law the Parental Rights in Education bill, which critics had dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill. The law prohibits the teaching of sexual orientation and gender identity in kindergarten through 3rd grade. LGBTQ rights groups like Equality Florida have condemned the law, saying it effectively erases LGBTQ history and identity in primary education. The law also allows parents to decide if their children can use the school's mental and physical health services. In turn, schools are prohibited from withholding any students' mental health records from their parents. Equality Florida's public policy director explains how the law could impact children and families in Florida.
It is so vague so that it has this chilling effect, so that teachers are afraid in classrooms to have conversations about LGBTQ people, even though they may have LGBTQ young folks in their classrooms or kids who have 2 moms or 2 dads. And those parents, obviously, and those families deserve to be acknowledged just like anybody else. I work closely with some student organizers and student advocates, and they were telling me about folks crying in their classrooms today when the bill was signed. You know, it just sends an incredibly prejudicial message.
The Walt Disney Company said today that it plans to help repeal the legislation. Disney's CEO, Bob Chapek, has also pledged $5 million to the Human Rights Campaign and other LGBTQ organizations.
journalists from ProPublica accepted the 2022 Selden Ring Award for investigative reporting today at USC. Their series, The Secret IRS Files, analyzed billionaire tax records and exposed how the rich stay rich. The award presented by USC Annenberg is one of the highest honors in investigative journalism. The prize, $50,000. We spoke to two of the journalists about bridging the equality gap.
We wanted to be able to contextualize things for readers and show them, how the tax system works for billionaires and how it works for normal people. And the results, I think, were very shocking.
We also felt that there was some personal risk in reporting on some of the most powerful people in the world. But, ultimately it was a combination of, being sort of concerned and also, thrilling to report on some of these things, to be involved in something so important.
The ProPublica team hopes this story will ignite conversations around wealth and inequality that lead to changes in policies and improve conditions for lower income Americans. So it was pouring earlier this morning, but then things cleared up a little bit. Justin, what's going on outside? Do I need an umbrella?
Well, Evan, as you can see, it's been raining here in Southern California, and it's been raining throughout the day, and campus is a little emptier than usual. It was raining pretty hard just a few moments ago, but it seems to have calmed down just in time for the show, and a series of advisories have been placed for California. Now let's take a look at those. A mandatory evacuation advisory has been put in place, and flash flood warnings are in place from Monday afternoon through 1 a.m. on Tuesday. Winter storm warnings are in place through 6 a.m. on Tuesday for LA mountains. The coast and valley can expect 1 to 2 inches of rain, while foothills and mountains can expect up to 4 inches. Now, it was pouring down rain earlier this morning. Students were running to their classes, and many were drenched. The rain did clear up for a little bit this afternoon, but then it picked back up around 4 o'clock. I spoke with some students today to see how they're feeling about the storm.
I didn't like it. I very much wanted to stay inside and not do anything. I skipped a class because it was raining and I didn't want to go out in the rain.
Here, LA looks also pretty ugly in rain, so I'm not happy about it.
I mean, I don't think I'd mind. I kind of like getting rained on. I tried to avoid it this morning, but if it started, I would not be upset.
You got to put a hood on, and if you don't have a hood, plastic bag.
Well, I Ubered to campus, and then I ran to my building.
Well, Evan, I'm here on Truesdale, and as you can see, sunny California is getting some much-needed rain. It's been raining throughout the day, and campus is looking a little emptier than usual. It was raining pretty hard just a few moments ago, but it seems to have cleared up just in time for the show. Now, there have also been a series of advisories placed throughout California, so let's take a look at those. A mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for Orange County's burn fire area. Flash flood warnings are in place from Monday afternoon through 1 a.m. on Tuesday. Winter storm warnings are in place through 6 a.m. on Tuesday for LA mountains. The coast and valley can expect 1 to 2 inches of rain, while foothills and mountains expect up to 4 inches. Earlier this morning, students woke up to a rainstorm. It's been raining pretty hard this morning. Students were running into their classes, and many were drenched. I spoke with some students earlier today to see how they're feeling about the storm. Well, I'm feeling pretty cold and wet right now. Let's go back into the studio where things are a bit drier.
Thanks, Justin. Stay tuned to see how USC Football is remembering the life of assistant coach David Nichols. We'll recap USC Baseball's weekend series against Oregon and highlight the weekend in USC Beach and men's volleyball. We've got all of that and more coming up next on Sports. Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Gavin Murillo.
And I'm Riley Flynn.
The USC football community is remembering the life and legacy of assistant coach Dave Nichols, who died Friday. Nichols joined head coach Lincoln Riley's first coaching staff at USC in December as the Trojans' inside wide receivers coach. Riley announced last week that Nichols would be stepping away from the team to focus on a private medical matter. Prior to coming to Southern California, Nichols coached at Mississippi State, Washington State, and Texas Tech, where he first met Coach Riley. On Friday, fans, players, and coaches from across the country reacted to the news, offering their condolences and memories of the positive impact that Nichols had made. Head coach Lincoln Riley said in a press release announcing that the news that, quote, "We are heartbroken and devastated. Dave was such a tremendous human being and a fantastic football coach. He absolutely loved the game and constantly poured his heart and soul into his teams. He will be dearly missed." Riley spoke on Saturday about the impact Nichols had on his life.
I mean, when we decided to take this job at SC, I knew from second one that I was going to try to hire him. I mean, he just, he's just one of those guys in the business that knew our stuff inside and out. Again, you could just trust him. You could trust him so much as a coach. I mean, he was always going to get his job done. He was always going to put the team first. He was always going to get along with every single person in the staff building. He just was the epitome of a great coach and a great person.
Riley said he and his team are looking forward to playing the season in Nichols' honor. What can USC fans expect to see from this new-look Trojans offense as the team prepares for the upcoming season?
Well, thanks, Gavin. This spring practice now has a lot of hype around new quarterback Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams, people are raving about Caleb Williams, calling him a baller. He's already assumed into the leadership role. But what Coach Lincoln Riley had to say is that he isn't even near his full potential. He has a long way to go. And this is a team with a lot of all-purpose talent, but what they need to work on is some specific areas, mostly offensive line, defensive line, and linebacker. But that being said, with the 13 transfers so far and more to come, there is a lot of hype around this team. Gavin, back to you.
Well, I totally agree with you, Quillen. I think to say that USC football has a lot in store is an understatement. This team made major moves in the offseason with the addition of Lincoln Riley. Their offense is going to be completely changed, completely dynamic. You look at Caleb Williams, like you said, we now have a dual threat quarterback and a play caller along with playmakers all across the field. So I'm expecting some fireworks from the Trojans on offense and on defense. And I mean, you look at the scout players, we got skills there. We look at the skill players, they're balling over there. And you look at the power players, I mean, we're lined up all across the field. So I'm really looking forward to the season. And I'm really excited, Quillen. What do we have for baseball?
Oh, we have something for baseball, all right. USC baseball had a tough weekend, dropping a winnable game on Sunday to lose 2 out of 3 contests to the Oregon Ducks. The Trojans had a 6-1 lead going into the 7th inning on Sunday, but a bullpen implosion squashed a chance to take the series. Despite a rough weekend on the mound, the Bats did their best to help the team win, scoring 19 runs over the weekend. Hitting coach Matt Fontino discussed the energy in the dugout that helped fuel the Trojans' win on Saturday.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, every guy's into every single pitch. They're saying the right stuff. They're competing as best they can, even though I know they're not in the game. But the dugout's in a really good spot, and that's our expectation, to pull those full wins like that out at the end of the day.
Now look, if you're going to blame the team, of course you're going to talk about the bullpen implosion, but the starting pitching is the one to look at. Just not good at all. You look at Stromsburg, who gave up 10 hits in 5 innings. You can look at Agassi, who gave up 10 hits in 3 innings. That stuff is not acceptable. Now look at Carson Lambert, the reliever, who had the bullpen implosion on Sunday. This is a guy that's going to work multiple innings. If you look at the MLB, a key guy to look at would be Andrew Miller. He's going to be in that type of multi-inning bullpen role. Yes, he had the implosion, but he's honestly had a great year. So you can't really push the blame on him. It's the starting pitching that needs to be better, and lastly, they need to be better against in the conference team. They just lost 2 out of 3 to Cal. That's 5-15 against other conference teams. Of course, Oregon's better with 7-2, but this team has to get on track with the Pac-12 teams. And USC will look to rebound at home versus Seattle on Wednesday. The game begins at 6 p.m.
Thanks, Quillen. USC Women's Beach Volleyball will enter the UCLA Invitational this weekend after a successful performance in the Pac-12 South Invitational last weekend. USC won all 3 matches at this invitational and shut out Washington 5-0 in their game on Sunday in Arizona. This game was Audrey and Nicole Norris's 45th win together, and it was the 16th win in a row for Delaney Maple and Julia Scholes. The Trojans are ranked number 3 and hope to get another win against LSU this Saturday in Manhattan Beach. With only 6 games left, the USC men's volleyball season is coming to an end. The team had an up-and-down weekend against Stanford in Palo Alto. USC lost 3 out of the 4 sets on Friday, but after the tough loss, the Trojans came back Saturday to knock off the Cardinal in 4 sets. They'll look to get another win this Thursday against UCLA before traveling to Westwood to take on their rivals again on Saturday. USC is 17-4 this season and is ranked number 4 nationally. UCLA is 15-3 and is ranked number 7. However, in an American Volleyball Coaches Association poll that was released today, UCLA is ranked number 1 and USC is number 5. Tune in to see these rivals play at 7 p.m. or watch live at the Galen Center with free admission. That's all we have for sports today. We're launching a new segment on our Monday newscast. Today we take you to meet this fantastic dancer.
We are excited to announce a new segment called Trojan Talent, where we show off USC's accomplished students. Our first spotlight is on Ava Noble, a Kaufman student performing in an upcoming musical. Ava first started dancing when she was only 3 years old. She has trained in every single style growing up, but found her passion in musical theater. Her most recent achievement is her role in SDA's A Chorus Line production. She is both a lead and a dance captain for the musical.
In A Chorus Line, it's the School of Dramatic Arts all-school musical for the spring. It's about a bunch of dancers, singers, and actors auditioning for a show. So I auditioned for the show about auditioning for a show, and I got cast as Christine. She is a very ditzy, nervous character who sings a song and does a monologue about how she can't sing and the struggles of being a dancer who can't sing, which I really resonate with that because I've been a dancer my whole life, but now wanting to do musical theater.
You can watch Ava and the rest of the Chorus Line cast starting on opening night, March 31st. The show runs Thursday through Sunday for 2 weekends. Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everybody here at Annenberg Media, I'm Evan Waino.
And I'm Lizzie Reisinger. For more coverage, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Good night.